Greetings, everybody. This is Thunder Hands. Well, today I thought I'd talk about the Chanunpa. And Chanunpa means pipe or sacred pipe. And I guess I should start off by the origins of where it came from and how it came into the life of the Lakota people. And it all started thousands of years ago with a woman called White Buffalo Calf Woman. And there's a story about that I'll tell first to kind of preface the Chanunpa or the sacred bundle or the pipe as we know it today. So, now there's different versions of the story and there's different parts of it that might need explaining, so I'll do that as I go along. But the White Buffalo Calf Woman or the White Buffalo Woman was a figure much like kind of a messianic figure, a Christ-like figure, only a woman, that came upon the earth, appeared, and one day there was these two braves that came out of this village, and they were hunting. They were hunters, gatherers, hunters, warriors. They were walking along and they looked off in the distance and they saw this image of this person coming towards them, but they didn't quite see who it was because it was kind of hazy. And as it got closer, it was a beautiful woman. Beautiful, beautiful woman. And I suppose she was donned in white buckskin. That's how some of the stories go. And she was carrying a bundle, but she was so beautiful that one of the braves got all excited about it and wanted to make love to her, wanted to be with her in a sexual way. And she perceived this. And the other brave was just reverential and was just looking at her in awe like, who is this person? She's beautiful, but what does she want? Who is she? So anyway, the brave that was thinking thoughts of her, of lustful or erotic thoughts, advanced towards her, and as he did, there was this huge puff or manifestation of smoke. And when it cleared, all that was left to him was his bones laying there, while the other one just stood there in awe. And I see this part of the story. Now there's some people that say this part of the story was added later on, the scary part of the story, by the white man who wanted to make the ritual of the Lakota people, wanted to throw a wrench in there, wanted to make things scary to them or not acceptable or whatever. However, if it is part of the story, and we really don't know that, some say it is, some say it isn't. If it is part of the story, then I look at it as a metaphor, not so much about sex or being with women or any of that, but thinking more about the physical than the spiritual. And how we, a lesson as to how we should be thinking about the spiritual. So anyway, the story goes on to where she talks to this other brave and says, I want to go to your village because I have a present for them, but I will arrive at a certain amount of time. So he went back to the village and he talked to his chief, and I believe it was Chief Standing Hollow Horn, which incidentally I have a good friend in Flagstaff, a woman friend named Hollow Horn. Could be descendant. But anyway, getting back to the story, she did show up, They were waiting for, at first when they heard this story from the remaining brave, they thought maybe he was a little out there because the other brave had disappeared, and they were actually pretty taken back. But anyway, the woman showed up, the white buffalo calf woman, who we should all have great reverence for. And she carried this bundle in her hands, wrapped in white buckskin, and it was a pipe. It was the sacred pipe known as Chanunpa. And I just happen to have a sacred pipe here in my possession. This is my personal pipe. And I obtained, the bowl is always made out of, usually not always made out of, catanolite, which is a red rock, or a bloodstone as it's called, that can only be found in the Dakotas. And this is the stem which disconnects, and I made this stem personally for this pipe, this bowl, and it has paintings on it of animals. And it also up here has the stripes for the spirit of the four directions. Now when you put this pipe into the bowl, it represents the male and the female connecting and becoming one. And it also represents a whole being or a whole person, an entity. And it's very spiritual when you put these two together. I rarely take this pipe out unless I'm doing ritual with it, but I am using it for purposes of teaching today. And it also represents, as a person, this represents the head portion, and this is the place where the prana or energy comes in, like it would be on the back of the neck, the medulla oblongata or oblongata. And then this would be the spine, where the energy runs up and down the spine. That's also representative of the pipe and its powers. Okay? So you do ritual with this pipe. I'll set the pipe down now for a minute because I have reverence for it. Now the white buffalo calf woman commanded, or not commanded, but advised them to use the pipe and to use it for ritual and to contact grandfather and grandmother. And there's 6 spirits or 6 entities or 6 directions that you pray to while you're doing this, and that would be grandfather, who would be Wakantanka, and grandmother, which would be Unsi or Maka. And then there would be Sapa, which is the spirit of the west and is black, and that's where the thunder beings are, or the Wakanyan. And then in the north you have the color of red and represents renewal, and the elk is sometimes pictured in that direction. And then in the east you have the rising sun, which is yellow and represents a bringer of creation, or a bringer of goodness, or a raising of the spirit. It could represent a lot of things, and sometimes I call that Tunkashila, which is another part of the Godhead. You have Wakantanka and you have Tunkashila, kind of like the Father and the Son. And also you have Maka, Mother Earth, which is the feminine principle. So you have the masculine and the feminine principles involved. And then the spirit of the four directions are almost like the angels in the biblical thing, only they're the spirit of the four directions with different powers. And then the other direction I didn't mention was the south, Ogagaska, which is represented by the owl and is represented by being to go over, able to go over to the spiritual realm or have contact with that, or for me it represents having one foot in the spirit world and one foot in the realm of the physical realm. So when you pray, when you use the pipe for ritual, you pray to all these directions. And again, you use what they call kinikinik, which is another word for tobacco, and tobacco is what is used as that plant reaches deep into the earth. And organic or wild tobacco was here long before the white man, okay? And it's a sacred herb. So you use that, and you use sweet grass, and you use sage, and you use a lot of different herbs. You mix them together. Whatever herb works for you. There's other herbs too. And each time you put a pinch of herbs into the pipe, the Chanunpa, you talk to one of the directions, or to grandmother and grandfather, and you say, "Grandfather, there is a place in this pipe for you. Put a pinch of herb in." And you say, "Grandmother, there's a place in this pipe for you," and you put a pinch in. Or you say, "Sapa, the direction of the west, there is a place in this pipe for you," and you go through the whole thing until you have each one, until the pipe is full. Okay? And then you smoke the pipe, and no, it's not a peace pipe. That's a white man's term, basically. Although it was used in different ceremonies for peaceful purposes with the white man, that was kind of an oxymoron, because every treaty that they ever used the pipe for, or everything that they used the pipe for peaceful purposes, they didn't respect or revere the pipe and its power, and they broke every treaty that there is. That's probably why we're having the bad karma, or the bad effects, in the land today we call America. It's probably their karma catching up with them for breaking, because you don't lie. When you smoke the pipe and you're a pipe carrier, you do not lie. When you're using this pipe in ritual to the point of death, you do not lie. Okay, because it is a sacred thing. And so it is used that way. It's not just, there's other pipes that are used for just kind of relaxing and sitting around, but this, you have one pipe for ritual, and there's other pipes that are used. So there's not just one pipe, but this is the sacred pipe, the Chanunpa. So anyway, that's how you do that. And when I do ritual, sometimes my totem will fly down, the red-tailed hawk, and will hover above me. I've had this happen several times, or just fly in a circle around, knowing that Great Spirit, when you blow the smoke up to grandfather, that he receives that smoke as a prayer. That's the purpose of smoking the pipe, and it's used in other rituals also, like the Inipi ceremony, the sweat lodge. And so a pipe carrier, or an elder that is a pipe carrier, is the one who will do this. And pipe carriers are designated, usually it's passed down, but there's other ways of being a pipe carrier. You know if you are chosen or you are called to be a pipe carrier. So that is a very reverential thing and a very holy thing. Wakan. You have to be a holy man. A Wakan, Wakasa, Wakan. Holy man. Wakan meaning holy. And when you practice this ritual, it's a Wakan ritual, a holy ritual. Just like any ritual is holy, but I really consider this being, since it is one of the oldest. Now I want to get back to this white buffalo calf woman. There's a lot of things that I can't tell here today, but there's a lot about this story. And one of the things is that this ritual should always be revered. And then that particular pipe, that one that was given to the Lakota people, is still in existence to this day. So that's how we know this is not just made up stuff. The bundle is still intact, and the pipe is still in the bundle, and it was passed down from Wakasa Wakan, holy man to pipe carrier, in a succession, and it is still with us today. And there's been some controversy about that too, as to who should hold it and who shouldn't, but there's not much. It's basically pretty cut and dried. But that is in existence today, that original pipe. Okay. So that's kind of the story of the Chanunpa, or the ritual with that, just like the giveaway and other ceremonies. And when you do this ritual, and sometimes I'll do the ritual without the pipe, I'll just say the prayer, or and you offer tobacco. You always offer tobacco to Mother Earth. Tobacco is used in a lot of things, in ritualistic ways. It's also, when you find a dead animal, you're supposed to sprinkle tobacco on it so its spirit will rest and go to the right place. So it's a very sacred herb, and was here, like I say, long before the white man, and used in a moderate way and in a special ritualistic way. Now, I consider this a beautiful story, and not only just a story, but it has deep, deep meaning to me. And although I am not Lakota, I practice this ritual because it is one of the most beautiful rituals there is. And I tend to use Lakota words, even though I know several words from different tribes. I like the tradition of the Lakota people. So that's just a little bit about, and if you really want to get into depth, there's a book here that I recommend by Black Elk called The Sacred Pipe. And that would be worth reading because it explains everything in complete detail. So that's something I wanted to mention. You should read of all of the books by Black Elk. Black Elk Speaks, and also Lame Deer, who was a pipe carrier. So I guess I'll leave it there today, and I want to talk about my book now, or my books, both of them, Emergence and Spirit of, and on Spirit of Crazy Horse, I meant to say. Listen to the Wind, Speak from the Heart, and Emergence. Listen to the Wind, Speak from the Heart is by Divine Arts. This is self-published. You can get them both at my website, spiritofcrazyhorse.com, which is down here in the link section below. And when you go there, you can look and, it has the books and descriptions of the books, a little bit about me as a bio, spiritofcrazyhorse.com, again down below this video. And also there is a donation button for offerings and gifts of a monetary value to keep the show going, and I'd appreciate any help in that area. And I want to thank those that have already helped in that area. So anyway, I guess I'll leave it at that today. So blessings to you all, love to you all from the heart, and until I talk to you again, I'm out of here. Adios.